Hello, everybody. I'm Dugan Fraser. I'm the Program Manager of the Global Evaluation Initiative. I'm talking to Marco Segone. He's the Director of the Evaluation Office at UNFPA. This is part of our podcast series called Stronger Together, where we're talking about evaluation capacity development. Hi, Marco. Very nice to see you.
Hi.
So tell us, Marco, the term evaluation capacity development, ECD, is a very broad one, and people use it to mean different things. When you talk about ECD or evaluation capacity development, what do you mean, and why is it important to UNFPA?
Well, thanks a lot, Dugan, and hello, everybody. Well, evaluation capacity development is something very complex. And this is why we need a systemic approach to evaluation capacity development. Historically, the evaluation community focused mainly on the supply side of individuals, meaning focus on strengthening the capacities of individual evaluators to strengthen their capacities to deliver good quality evaluations. That's very important, but it's not sufficient. At UNFPA, we have this systemic approach where with evaluation capacity development, we look at three levels. First, the individual level. That is about strengthening individual capacities, but not only of evaluators, but also of those who should demand and use evaluation. That means that we look both at the supply side as well as the demand side. Therefore, first level, strengthen individual capacities of evaluators to deliver good quality evaluators, as well as strengthening individual capacities of policymakers, parliamentarians, to demand for evaluation and to use evaluation in their own work, in their own decision-making processes. The second level is institutional capacities. Even if you have very strong individual evaluators, but you don't have the institutional mechanism and systems, then evaluation will not happen. So it's very important that whatever you work in a government, in a ministry, in an organization, that organization or ministry has mechanisms and systems in place to ensure good quality evaluations. And third is the enabling environment. It's very important that in the country where you work, there is a demand for evaluation, there is protection for those who are carrying out evaluations. And that's why national evaluation policies are very important, because national evaluation policies clearly state what is evaluation, why evaluation is important, what are the roles and responsibilities of the different stakeholders involved in evaluations, what should be the budget dedicated to evaluations, etc. So systemic approach, individual, institutional, and enabling environment, and as cross-sectoral elements, equity focus and gender response evaluation is very important because we all know that SDGs is about leaving no one behind. The SDGs is about sustainable and equitable development. And the second cross-sectoral element is about country-led. Evaluation should led by the country and not by external stakeholders. Now, going to the second part of your question, why at UNFPA evaluation capacity development is so important? Well, the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the 2030 Development Agenda is about country-led development. It's about countries achieving their own national development goals, and to do that, they need to develop their own national capacity and systems. And the United Nations is there exactly for that, is there to support country, for them, for the countries. And when I say country, I don't mean only government, I mean governments and all the different stakeholders in a country, civil society, private sector, academy, etc. So the United Nations is there to support countries to develop their own capacity and systems, including in evaluation. That's why at UNFPA, in our own evaluation policy, we explicitly commit to enhance national evaluation capacities. So just simply said, it's just the right things to do.
There's so much in common between what you're describing and the approach that we take at the GEI, especially in regard to thinking of these as individual, institutional, and the enabling environment. What are some of the big accomplishments that you consider to be success stories of the work that you've been doing at UNFPA?
Well, let me give you just two examples among many. The first, UNFPA is the United Nations Agencies for Population. And one of the key mandates of UNFPA is about empowering young people. And you have to know that young people, as of now, we're talking about 1.8 billion people in the world. So it's the first time in the history of the world that we have such a number of young people in the world. So when it comes to evaluation, that translates to supporting young people in evaluation and to support young and emerging evaluators. That's why UNFPA has been partnering with EvaLUs, that is the global movement of young evaluators, to support them to implement what's the priority for them. In addition, we are also walking the talk in the sense that we always say that it's very important to include young people in evaluation, but it's easier said than done. In our case, we included in our evaluation policy the principle that young people should be engaged and involved in evaluation as much as possible. Not only as key informants, not only as member of the evaluation team, but even in being as decision makers in the evaluation process. And that's what we are doing. For example, we are conducting an evaluation of UNFPA engagement with young people, and we set up a youth steering committee that, together with the evaluation office, is responsible to shape and to take decisions on the entire evaluation process. But in addition to that, as I said, evaluation capacity development is very complex and we need a systemic thinking. That's why, together with the global EvaLUs movement and together with the Global Parliamentarian Forum for Evaluation, we launched the Decade of Action for Evaluation. As you probably know, last year, the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, launched the Decade of Action for the SDG, the Decade of Action to accelerate the achievements and the progress towards the SDGs. As we think that evaluation has a key role to play on this, has a key role to inform the acceleration towards the progress of the SDGs, we decided to launch this Decade of Action for Evaluation, also called Eval for Action. And in just a little bit more than 1 year, more than 130 partners from all over the world joined the campaign. It's an advocacy campaign that is asking to take action to strengthen influential evaluation, to take actions to strengthen national evaluation systems so that countries can evaluate their own national development programs and policies to accelerate the progress towards the SDGs.
There are lots of challenges that face evaluation capacity development. What do you think are some of the big roadblocks that we need to navigate around?
Well, let's just mention two among many, unfortunately. One is fragmentation and duplication. We see that in several instances, there are a number of stakeholders, both domestic and international stakeholders, that are spending and investing resources, both financial and human resources, in doing something that somebody else is already doing or has already done in the past. So we see a high level of fragmentation and duplication in a context of resource limitations. The second big challenge is that, unfortunately, while in theory, I think that virtually everybody agrees on the importance of country-led evaluations, in reality, country-led evaluations are not happening at the extent that we would like to see. And that's because of conflicting interest. You know, those who are committing evaluations, they put at the center of the evaluation process their own interest that sometimes do not coincide with the interests of the country. So this fragmentation and duplication on the one side and the challenge in having true country-led evaluations, to me, are among the two main challenges in capacity development for evaluation.
I really agree. And I mean, I think you know that those are some of the real issues that drive the work of the GEI. And as you look at the evaluation capacity development landscape globally, what are some of the things that you find exciting, that you think are promising?
Well, you know, I think we have a number of good news. First of all, on the supply side, if a decade ago you were asking me what are the good examples of national evaluation systems, I would have replied mainly the countries in the global north. You know, the US and Canada and Australia and the UK, etc., etc. Today, the majority of good examples of national evaluation systems are in the global south. So that's something really very interesting that is happening. The same is on the demand side. You know, in the past, again, if you were asking me some good examples where governments are demanding evaluation, are using evaluations, well, those examples would be mainly from the global north. Today, the majority are from the global south. From the global south, because, for example, with the Parliamentarian Forums for Evaluations, we have regional Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation in the Asia Pacific, in Africa, in the Middle East, in East Europe, Central and Central Asia, in Latin America, but not in North America and not in Europe. So it looks like you know, the driving seat now when it comes to national evaluation systems is shifting from the global north to the global south. And one last very interesting and promising thing is, you know, this focus on the no one left behind. As you know, the SDGs are very much about leaving no one behind. It is very much about reaching out the most disadvantaged. Well, that's translating the evaluation community in the evaluation world. It means that there is more and more attention to equity focus and gender responsive evaluations, for example. It means that there is more and more a knowledge of the importance of the local culture. And there is more and more, gradually, request and attention to indigenous evaluations. So all of this, to me, is showing a kind of rebalance of the evaluation most innovative and interesting practices towards the global south.
That's very heartening. I hope you're right. Let's talk, though, about COVID and how it has affected evaluation capacity development. Do you think there are some opportunities that COVID has generated that we need to take advantage of?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, first of all, really the need to be flexible and quick. I mean, if there is anything that COVID has teach us, it's really about the importance for evaluation to be ready, to react, and to be responsive to the very quickly changing environment. And so there is a stronger focus on real-time evaluation. Second is also showed us really how to leverage technology to enhance inclusion. Everything, including evaluation capacity development, for the time being, have moved from the face-to-face to the remote online. Now, I'm not saying that remote will ever replace completely face-to-face, because I think that face-to-face is not replaceable. Having said that, the remote and online experience had really showed us how the use of technology can enhance inclusion. Just to give you an example, in the framework of the Eval for Action campaign, we carried out regional consultations in all the regions by now. And it's not only an issue of cost effectiveness, because of course it's much cheaper, but it's an issue of giving the opportunity to those who usually do not have the opportunity to attend face-to-face consultations, meetings, etc., to be there on the table. In the regional consultations that were all online, we had more people and new people that engage for the first time ever in this kind of consultations on shaping the strategies and the agenda for the future for evaluation. And last but not least is the enhanced use of national evaluators. And this brings back a little bit on the aspect of the country-led evaluation that I was mentioning before. COVID has pushed everybody to use more and more national evaluators, has used everybody to leverage the existing national resources and to empower the existing national resources. So a number of opportunities have been shown that we should leverage also for evaluation capacity development.
Yeah, I mean, I think my own experience really supports what you're saying, that it has really, in the most unexpected ways, provided for participation, and I think these are the upside of what's been such a massive global trauma. Let's talk for a moment about the Global Evaluation Initiative. And you earlier referred to one of these problems of fragmentation and how we can really try to be more integrated and synthesized about the way in which we build evaluation capacities. Have you thought at all about how that needs to happen?
Well, I mean, there is a famous proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And to me, partnership is exactly about that. The answer to the challenges, some of the challenges that I mentioned before, like fragmentation and duplication, is really about partnership. And, for those who know me, I'm a real true believer of partnership. And to me, partnership is very simple. It's about linking the dots in a meaningful and strategic manner, leveraging the diversity of all the different stakeholders. Only by working all together for the same goal, with a shared vision, but always being aware and acknowledging and actually celebrating the diversity of the different stakeholders, because each stakeholder has its own strengths and its own leverage. And it's by leveraging the strengths, the unique strengths of the different stakeholders and working together, I think that it will be possible to tackle a very complex issue like national evaluation capacity development.
And I think that whole idea of partnership and collaboration is what really underpins the GEI. Do you think there are things that we can only achieve together that we can't achieve on our own? And maybe you've already answered this.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, I always say national evaluation capacity development is so complex and ambitious that no singular and individual organization or government or ministry can do it alone.
Right.
Regardless of how resourceful that organization or ministry is. So to me, the only way forward is about working together.
And so when you think about the Global Evaluation Initiative and you think about what success needs to look like, will you finish this sentence for me? The GEI will be successful if it
will be able to link the dots in a meaningful and strategic manner, leveraging the diversity of stakeholders.
That's easy, hey? I think that's going to be a big job, but I think if we work together with people like yourself and the other partners that we have gotten agreements with and with whom we are in conversation, it is something that we can get better at. Thank you very much for joining me today, Marco, and thank you to everyone for tuning in and watching this interview. Stay tuned and we'll soon be sharing more content with you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot. Thanks
Marco.
a lot, Dugan. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.